as you can see, we're very technology oriented here, Inquirer.net being a website and this interview being a podcast and all. So, if elected, how much support would you give technology related legislature in the Senate? And I also noticed that back in 2000, there was a landmark piece of technology related. It was RA 8792 or the Electronic Commerce Act. I'd like to know why you weren't able to say either yay or nay on that particular bill.
Well, Leo, the first part of the question deals with how much are we going to support information technology related legislation. It's actually not just legislation. It's also allocating funds, which is in effect the budget, the major piece of legislation we have to handle in both in the House and in the Senate. It's basically allocating funds so that existing departments in government are able to go into more advanced information technology um, methods so that efficiency can be attained, whether it's in the collection of taxes, your customs or the DIR, whether it's in fact even monitoring or devising new programs for the Department of Education, for teacher training, for even English proficiency, and now there's this new thing about Mandarin proficiency, or maybe just keeping records. You know, we see so many, I mean, boxes, crates and crates and crates of paper in government offices that are just simply occupying space. That if they, put all of these things in order through IT methods, then you would save space, you preserve the records properly, and would be able to go about your daily tasks more fluidly. So it's not just legislation, it's also support systems. But of course, since it's so-called quote unquote new, it's a new field, we also have to plug a lot of loopholes. For example, as far as the COMELEC computerization program is concerned, of course we would like to see everything computerized because hopefully that will lessen the human intervention that normally results in either increasing or decreasing numbers of votes for certain candidates. Because through technology, hopefully we will be able to record the vote as they come. But we also have to take care of the loopholes. For example, what if in the thick of the counting there's a brownout? So what happens? Are you going to provide generator sets for 1,600 municipalities, 79 provinces or 80 provinces all over the country? How are you going to do this? So what about soiled hands? Suppose there's grease or ketchup or just plain maybe some chemicals that are in people's hands. How is that going to be read by the computer? Or what if computers are just outwardly destroyed so that the results can no longer be retrieved? How are you going to retrieve the results if they were not saved? So many of these questions. And then how are you going to make people who are looking at a computer or handling a computer for the first time, how are you going to make them actually choose the candidates, signify their choices by pressing buttons, and if they make a mistake, how are they going to reverse their choices? Many things that people normally don't think about. So it's not as simple as just automation or just computerization or information technology that can be the solution. But there's still a lot of basic things that we have to address.
Nikki, I also asked why you weren't able to vote for the Electronic Commerce Act of 2000.
Well, maybe it could be also a safeguard issue. Um, People in our, well, in my maybe mindset. We're very worried about giving credit card numbers to a machine, in effect. Um, Giving maybe a password or some code, into a machine. And I think we have to be able to reassure the public that this is not going to happen. There is something that's going on now, even in the commercial establishments in Manila, and more so in the rural areas. When we pay by credit card, they actually ask us for two IDs, another credit card, and a driver's license. I mean, that means that these establishments have been experiencing high levels of fraud. And maybe the credit card companies are now taking extra precaution. You already have a person with a signature at the back of the card. In some cases, the credit card even has your picture on it. Well, mine doesn't. But they still ask you, for another validating identification card. And in the absence of any standard form of identification, you can actually buy any sort of IDs from anywhere at any price. So when the public document has already lost its credibility, in fact, if you ask the U.S. Embassy people, I think they'll tell you that 30% or more of the documents submitted to them are not real. And this is why they clamp down so tightly on people. When the legitimate guys, feel that their style's been cramped, then that means that there are a number of illegal operators that have been taking advantage of the system. And this holds true also for insurance, for example. There's a lot of insurance fraud, not just here, but abroad as well. And the sad part is, the straight guys, the good guys, have to pay for the crimes of the bad guys. So that your premiums go up, because many people take advantage of these fraudulent schemes. So when you talk of e-commerce, and you're talking of trading, buying and selling, as far as we're concerned, we've not held the stuff yet. We've not even seen the item. We're only looking at it on a screen, and it has to be paid for. So our experience is such that even on a face-to-face transactional system, where you go to a store, you pay for something, you also take a risk that it may not even be delivered to you. Or it might be delivered in bad order. And who do you go to? Where's the complaints department? And if you just go by emailing the salesperson or the dealer, what if you don't get an answer anymore? I have been victimized by this, by the way. It was called I think it was called Packet 8, where they were selling a product very cheap, maybe $20 or something. And my friend in Arizona told me that if you paid $20 every month, you can call a number and it will be charged as a local call. I knew nothing about this. But apparently she's been calling Manila like she were just calling a neighbor in Arizona. So there were quite a number of us that were awed by this system when it was new, and we subscribed. And after a while we said, we wanted to cut the subscription, and we just kept getting billed. Our credit cards just kept getting billed. And who do we complain to? When you make a long distance call, you have to pay so much. When you go on the email and take their email address, there's not an answer that comes to you. They keep sending you information. This is the new gimmick or a new gadget or a new something. If you pay $5 more, you can be attached to it. But we're saying we don't want any new gadgets. We don't want any new gimmicks. We just want to end the subscription. And it took, my goodness, over a year to get that act together. So we were actually paying roughly like $20 or so every month for something that we hadn't even used.